Well, Casey here. I'm starting a new project and just wanted to show you just a quick tip when you get started on your new design projects. And so I have a new client project that I'm starting today to design and just kind of setting all the wireframes up and getting everything organized. And so one of the first tips that I have for you is use the Relume library, the component library. It's super awesome as far as just being able to think through different designs. But ultimately, I end up changing those because I don't build with Relume in Webflow. Not that there's anything wrong with building with Relume in Webflow. There's absolutely not. It's super powerful and can speed up your build, but I typically build things from a more custom perspective. But I do use their component library to get things started. The next tip that I have for you is really to set up grids. And most people are probably pretty familiar with grids. And so the first grid that you might come in and set up is going to be more of a columns grid, and this is what I typically do. Set that up at 12. I like to reduce this to 5% just so that I can see a little bit more of the text. Stretch is great, and then I set my margins to 64. I'm usually using a container that's 80 rem, and that will get me there, particularly here with the Relume library and how things are going. It lines up just great with that, and then it helps me to have enough white space so that when I am building in Webflow, I can kind of see that gutter is 20. But then what I also do is I come in and I add a second, and I got this tip recently, and so you add a second one, but more from a row perspective. And this is going to help you to really line up things when it comes to rows and space things evenly. Now, I build on an 8-point grid, which you should be doing as well, or really 4-point grid, but 4, 8, 16, 32, etc. And so what I like to do is come in and set that up, and I take my count and I make that super high, like 1,000. And then I also make this 5%, but you change the type from stretch to top because you want to see those particular lines that are lining up. And then the next thing that I do is I make sure that the height is on 8 because this is going to be 8 pixels, and this is going to allow you to, make sure that you're building everything on this 4.8 point grid. And then I change my gutter to 0. And so then if I zoom in here, every one of these lines, there's 8 points in between, and this will really help you to be accurate with your white space within your design, keeping everything nice and clean and consistent. The next thing that you can do is go over here to preferences, and you want to make sure that it is your nudge amount is in the proper, well, where did that go? Library preferences, nudge amount, here it is. You want to make sure that your big nudge is set to 8. So then every single time you hold down shift and press one of your up or down keys, your text is going to move, and it's going to move by 8 pixels every single time. And if you line it up on the line and you kind of move that down, then that's going to keep things just nice and tidy and able for you to go from 8-point space in between to 16, 24, 32, and on up from there with the 8-point grid, really helping you keep everything nice and consistent. And so just a quick tip for you today as you begin to build your new project. You can take it to the next level by saving this. And so the key to saving it is to have both of these things together. Select, one of these, as long as they're both in this layout grid. Click the floor style button here and the plus. Go over here and save this to 12 by 8. Create your style, and what happens is it pulls both of those together, and so you see that both of those are here. And so if I wanted to apply this to this modal here, I can click on my layout grid, and then I've got both the 12 column grid and the 8-point grid that is going for the rows. It makes things really simple and really easy for you just to add that to all of the different sections in your project. And if you want to take it to the next level, one of the things that you can do in order to turn off this grid is hold shift and then press G, and that'll turn the layout grid off on your entire project. Shift and G will help you to kind of turn that on and off so you can see what you're designing without having to go over here and click all these buttons or click onto the actual frame so that shows up. So Shift G. Hopefully that's some good tips for you today as you begin your next design project.